Hi, I'm Beth, creator of dryitcanit.com. I like to share tips and what I've learned about dehydrating and canning food, as well as sharing original recipes. Today I want to talk about powdering your fruits and vegetables. Powdering is something you do with your dried fruits or your dried vegetables, and then you can use the powders for flavoring or enhancement. In the case of greens such as lettuces and spinaches, which are more mild, you can take leftovers of those or maybe something in your refrigerator that you're not using, dehydrate it, grind it into a powder. It's a fairly flavorless powder, so to speak, but you can add that to meatloaf or soups or meatballs and hide those vitamins and nutrients in there. It's also a great way to use your powders in other ways. And today I want to talk just briefly about powdering. I'm finishing up powdering yogurt smoothies, which I dehydrate and store. And then when I want a smoothie, I just add powder and I add water or maybe fruit juice, depending upon the kind of smoothie I have, and drink it. I have it ready to go. If I'm camping or backpacking, great tip also. Not that I camp or backpack, but you get what I'm saying. But anyway, what you want to have is you want to have a simple coffee grinder, and you want to save it just for your powders. You don't want to use it for grinding coffee because coffees have oils in them, and you won't be able to wash that out, and eventually those oils are going to get into your product, and that's just not a good combination. So it's really fairly simple, and this might seem counterintuitive about why am I even doing this, but I just want to show you the steps that I take. I like this particular grinder because it has good capacity and it does a nice job. But I just take whatever it is that I'm going to grind in there, and then I can tell by the sound of my grinder where I'm at. So the first thing I want to do is I want to pulse this just a couple of times, and that breaks up the pieces, and you can hear the grittiness. And then I'm going to grind it, and you can still hear that grittiness. And when I don't hear that grittiness anymore, and it's smooth, I'll give it a shake, and I'll do that again. And this time it's smooth, so I'm good. Now, I usually recommend that you leave your cap on and don't take that off right away. And the reason for that is the powder has been stirred up quite a bit and it becomes airborne, and you really don't want to breathe that. I think that's an important step, especially if you have children around. And I'm going to take it off, and maybe this is settled enough and maybe not, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. I need to unplug this. So I take that off, and you see what I'm saying? It just becomes airborne, and not only does it become airborne where you're going to end up breathing it, which you don't want to do, but you're losing some of that powder. So I always suggest leaving this in for just probably 3 to 4 minutes. So I'm going to let that be for just a minute, and then I'll be right back to show you how I get the last of that powder into my jars and then what I do afterwards. All right, it's been a couple minutes, and so now I can take this off and I can empty off my last of my powder. I like to keep covers on my product as I'm working on it so that I don't lose any of it. Now, when I'm working with this, typically when you're powdering, you're going to notice that you're going to have some powder in the lid of your container as well as the funnel on your container. And you really don't want to waste any of that. What I find is some kind of a rubber basting brush works really well to get the rest of that powder out. I have tried like nylon paint brushes, and they work okay in the summer months. In the winter months, though, they seem to cause static electricity, so I don't like those, and these rubber ones are the way to go. So it really cleans out the rest of the powder. Now I've got quite a bit, I don't know if you can see that, in my funnel, and same thing, I'm just going to brush that in there because we went to all the trouble to dehydrate the food and to powder it, so why not get every little bit of it that we can into our jars, and that makes a big difference. So the last step on this really is I always have my canning lids that I reuse for dehydrating. I put a little black permanent marker, Sharpie black X on them when I'm done canning so that I know that it's a lid that I can use. And I'm careful about how I open the lids. And then I put my, my cover band on, and for the most part I'm good to go. However, because this can generate heat and friction, there's always the chance that you're going to introduce moisture into your container. So I'm going to condition this again for a few days, and conditioning really is just turning it every once in a while, making sure that everything stays loose and not clumped. Hang on one second. I'm conditioning some tomato powder right now too, and it didn't work this time. Sometimes what happens is on some of the product, you're gonna turn it upside down and everything sticks. And if you just give your jar a tap and everything falls down, then you know that's compression. And I'll probably do a separate video on that. But anyway, powdering is a great way to use your vegetables and your fruits in another manner. Again, in this particular case, because I wanted to make some yogurt smoothies and just have them really, truly be shelf stable and instant, this is a great opportunity, and I'll be doing a video on powdering sometime probably later this summer, early fall. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful. I will put a link to the rubber basting brush and also to a grinder that I recommend. Took me a while to find one. I wanted one that had decent capacity in it and did a good job. But anyway, I hope you liked the video. Give me a thumbs up if you did. I also would really appreciate your sharing it and subscribing to the channel. So thanks for watching. Happy dehydrating.